The summer of 1984. A sweltering heat hung over Los Angeles. People were afraid to sleep. The reason? Richard Ramirez. He was a devilish figure lurking in the shadows. His crimes were brutal, his victims diverse. The media dubbed him the Night Stalker. Ramirez's calling card was terror. He broke into homes, often through unlocked windows or doors. His crimes left Los Angeles cowering. He was unpredictable, his motives unclear. This only amplified the fear gripping the city. Ramirez's crime spree started in June 1984. His first victim, a 79-year-old woman, was brutally murdered in her sleep. The violence escalated from there. He attacked men, women, and children. There seemed to be no pattern to his victims. This randomness made everyone a potential target. Ramirez often used a gun, but also employed knives and other weapons. His attacks were savage and seemingly random. The city was on edge. News reports recounted the gruesome details of his crimes. Fear became a constant companion for many Californians. The Night Stalker was everywhere and nowhere. What turned Richard Ramirez into the Night Stalker? His childhood held some answers. Born in El Paso, Texas, his early years were marked by violence. He witnessed extreme brutality within his own family. His father was known for his violent temper. This exposure to violence had a profound impact. Ramirez's cousin Mike became a strong influence. Mike, a Vietnam War veteran, shared gruesome stories of the war. He also introduced Ramirez to drugs. Mike's influence, coupled with the violence at home, pushed Ramirez down a dark path. These early experiences shaped the monster he would become. The Night Stalker's tactics. Despite the seemingly random nature of his crimes, Ramirez was methodical in his approach. He meticulously planned each attack, ensuring he left minimal evidence behind. He often targeted homes that were easily accessible, usually in quiet suburban neighborhoods where people felt safe. He would disable phone lines and cut window screens, making sure his entry was silent and unnoticed. He preferred to attack while his victims slept, catching them off guard in the dead of night when they were most vulnerable. Once inside, he would subject his victims to unspeakable horrors, instilling fear and panic. He would bind, beat, and violently assault them, leaving them physically and emotionally scarred. He often stole from his victims, taking jewelry and other valuables, adding insult to injury. Ramirez's calling card was his brutality, a signature of his violent nature. He seemed to revel in the terror he inflicted, enjoying the power he held over his victims. He left behind a trail of fear and destruction, a grim reminder of his presence. One of the most chilling aspects of Ramirez's persona was his deep and unsettling fascination with Satanism. He often left satanic symbols at crime scenes, marking his territory with dark, ominous signs. He forced some of his victims to swear allegiance to Satan, adding a horrifying ritualistic element to his crimes. This added a layer of psychological torture to his already horrific crimes, making the experience even more terrifying for his victims. Ramirez saw himself as a disciple of the devil, a dark figure carrying out unholy acts. He believed his crimes were acts of worship, a twisted form of devotion to his Dark Lord. This belief system fueled his brutality, driving him to commit increasingly heinous acts. His fascination with Satanism was well documented, with numerous accounts of his dark obsessions. He wore pentagrams and spoke often of his unwavering devotion to the devil, shocking those around him. This added to his terrifying persona, making him one of the most feared criminals of his time. The reign of terror finally ended in August 1985, bringing relief to a city gripped by fear. After evading capture for over a year, Ramirez was apprehended by a group of brave Los Angeles residents who took matters into their own hands. His face, plastered all over news reports, was recognized by several vigilant people who had been following the case closely. They chased him down and held him until police arrived, ensuring that he could no longer harm anyone else. The trial of Richard Ramirez was a media spectacle, drawing attention from across the nation. The evidence against him was overwhelming, with countless pieces linking him to the horrific crimes. He was convicted on 13 counts of murder, among other charges, sealing his fate. He was sentenced to death, a verdict that brought some closure to the victims' families. Ramirez spent the rest of his days on San Quentin's death row, isolated from the world he once terrorized. He died in 2013 from complications related to lymphoma, marking the end of a dark chapter in criminal history.
Ramirez entered the courtroom wearing sunglasses and shackles. He's accused of 43 crimes, including 13 murders. Outside the courtroom, metal detectors were used to beef up security. Dozens of spectators crowded the hallway, hoping to get a glimpse of the accused serial killer. Ramirez was captured nearly 3.5 years ago by an angry group of citizens in East LA. He was caught trying to steal someone's car. Police say he had terrorized much of greater Los Angeles by entering homes through unlocked doors or windows. Authorities say he robbed and killed many of his victims. Most were in the San Gabriel Valley. Following his capture, reports surfaced tying Ramirez to Satanism. He once flashed a pentagram drawn on his hand, and in an earlier court appearance, he shouted, "Hail Satan."
Hail Satan.
Today, nearly 3.5 years later, the trial of Richard Ramirez is finally underway. The long delay was the result of changing lawyers, trying to get the trial moved to another city, and allegations of racism by prospective jurors. It took 6 months just to pick a jury of 12, with 12 alternates. Prosecutor Phil Halpin began a no-nonsense, chronological account of what Ramirez allegedly did. He would not give a public assessment of the case or the evidence, but he did say the long delay may make it difficult for the witnesses who are called to testify.
And I suspect there'll be problems with memory on those people that appeared.
But nothing unmanageable.
Well, at that point, it's unfortunately, it puts the pressure on the witnesses.
Defense lawyer Daniel Hernandez tried to elude reporters.
Can you talk to us at all?
No, he can't.
Can you tell me anything about your opening statement?
Do you admit to being evil, Richard?
We are all evil in some form or another, are we not?
Convicted serial killer Richard Ramirez seemed to relish the concept of evil, and once upon a time, a lot of folks in the state of California viewed the one-time Texas altar boy as evil's human embodiment.
Yes, I am evil. Not 100%, but I am evil.
In the summer of 1985, the Texas drifter descended like a deadly disease on a hot California night. A one-man epidemic of madness and murder, one of America's first serial killers to be given a brand name, the Night Stalker.
Lock your doors, lock your windows. If you have the ability to provide additional security devices, then by all means do so.
Who wants to be next? I don't. No one else does.
He preyed on both women and men, young and old. He slipped through windows, slit throats, tortured and killed.
What he did to me has been the total destruction of my life and my girlfriend's life.
Former computer engineer Bill Carnes, one of Ramirez's many victims. One night, Carnes and his girlfriend were assaulted in their bed, and Bill Carnes shot 3 times in the head. Bill Carnes ended up in a group home with a bullet still lodged in his brain.
He stole my memory, he took my girlfriend, he took my career. And this was just an unprovoked attack.
But after dozens of such attacks, police identified their suspect, and on the morning of August 1st, 1985, Richard Ramirez's picture ran on front pages, and within hours, angry residents of this East LA neighborhood spotted, captured, and then severely beat Richard Ramirez as he tried to steal a car to evade police.
We're happy to announce that the individual we have in custody is Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker.
I can't begin to tell you how proud we, all of us, are of the people in this community who, to a man and a woman, were involved in trying to track this guy down and capture him.
That night, there was dancing in the streets of the East LA neighborhood where Ramirez was caught, but in court, the case dragged on for 4 long years, with the Texas drifter frequently disrupting the proceedings by displaying satanic signs and shouting obscenities at the judge.
This trial is a joke.
Would the jury in the above entitled action find the defendant, Richard Ramirez, guilty of murder?
But in the end, the jury sent Richard Ramirez to California's death row for 13 murders. I first met Richard Ramirez shortly after his LA conviction. Richard had been transferred to a jail in San Francisco where he was charged with and ultimately would be found guilty of a 14th murder.
What do you want the world to know about you?
The world has been fed many lies about me. I have read very few truths.
Who are you?
Just a guy. Just a guy.
At the time, Ramirez was certainly a guy attracting a lot of attention. Since his arrival at the San Francisco jail, women from around the country, including one of the female jurors who had found him guilty in Los Angeles, had been flocking to the San Francisco facility, even fighting with each other over Richard's affections.
They are the women in black, admirers of Richard Ramirez.
Why were you in the courtroom today?
I just wanted to see what he looked like. I think he's cute.
This woman, who gave her name only as Paige, calls herself a Satanist. She says Ramirez has written letters to her and that she's talked with him in jail.
Everyone makes him look so bad, you know, but I know that he's a nice person because I've met him and I know.
He's convicted of 13 murders.
I know. But he's really a nice guy. It's very out of the usual. It's very out of the norm to be able to do that for a certain amount of time and length, a period of time, and get away with it. Especially the outrageousness of it, the kind of murders that he did. When I went to go visit him, I asked him, you know, I said, how many other girls visit you? I want to know. And he kind of laughed and said, there's 2, but I already know them, and I've known them for a while, and they're just like acquaintances, and, you know, kind of, you know, made me think that and believe like I was like the only one that he liked that was visiting him.
Their attraction may be difficult to explain, but from Los Angeles to San Francisco, they stalk Ramirez whenever he appears in a courtroom.
How do you respond to people who are going to think you're crazy for this?
I'll just say that they just don't understand.
In San Francisco, Chuck Coppola.
There are many who would look at Richard Ramirez in the eye. He is the face of evil. Mm-hmm. And yet you look at him and you see the man of your dreams.
Yes.
Who needs glasses here?
I can't help the way the world looks at him. They don't know him the way I do.
And the next day, Doreen walked down the aisle, albeit a prison aisle, with her groom. Here's the couple and her response at being the new Mrs. Richard Ramirez.
It feels wonderful. I'm so happy. I'm so thrilled, very proud, and a little relieved that the bulk of the day is over, and just hopefully I can enjoy the rest of my day in peace with Richard's family and think about the importance of what happened today.
Okay, Mikhail, hi.
What kind of a person are you?
Kind of person would I describe myself to be? I don't know. Just an ordinary person. But then again, there's Jekyll and Hyde to me. Okay, go ahead. Next question. A recipe, poverty, drugs, child abuse, a few other things that I can't recall right now, but I believe that these things, you know, contribute to a person, to a person's frustration and anger, and at some point in life, he explodes. And circumstances.
Circumstances.
Evil is feelings and emotions like anger, hate, lust, and greed. Whereas if I didn't give in to them, I would be crushed by them. As far as the crimes they say I committed, I've been convicted of. I still have dreams of everything that has happened, yes. But I like nightmares. I was happy till the day I got arrested. I have been in love.
When? How old were you?
I was 15. I was 15.
And what happened?
I got sent, I was with her 3 years and I got sent to reform school. And when I came back, we lost touch and she got married and that was it.
מאז שמדונה הגיעה לכלא וראתה אותו ואמרה...
Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Yeah. Because he had a real charm about him. Like, he was kind of good looking. And what was really weird is that he had groupies. And there were girls lined up to come see him. So every time I would go to see my husband at the time, it was just me. And he's out killing me, bitch. She's waiting.
אימהות, she had sex with violence.
Do I associate sex with violence? I'm not gonna answer that. Break. Shit, man, this is a hard question. I don't know. I can't answer that, Mikhail. I mean, hold it. Just, no, we can't get into that. See, she tries and makes, keeps me going, but I can't. Don't laugh like that. You're making me laugh. I hope you edit this real good, Philip. Thank you. Okay, go ahead, man. What do you? I'm at a loss here. What do you want me to say? People.
Nothing. I wanted to say the things you've made me think you got.
Hold on, Mike. Hold on. Look, sometimes I can't say what I really feel. I am pending trial here.
Sometimes I can't say what I really feel.
As to sex and violence, many people are into S&M and bondage and stuff, and there's clubs that...
Yeah, we're talking about you.
Me? Well, sex and violence? Well, No, I don't think I'll answer that, no. What?
זה קשה לראות שהוא מתקרב אלייך ככה.
Well, I agree. That was a stupid answer, but Jesus, this is a wicked world. And in a wicked world, wicked people are born, you know?
One of America's most notorious serial killers died this morning in a California hospital. Richard Ramirez, better known as the Night Stalker, who terrorized Southern California back in the mid-'80s, beating, slashing, or shooting his victims. He was in the midst of a carjacking when people living in an East LA neighborhood captured him. Ramirez was found guilty of 13 murders and multiple counts of attempted murder, assault, burglary. He was sentenced to San Quentin's death row. Prison officials say he died of natural causes. Night Stalker Richard Ramirez died at age 53.